This will be my take on tea theory. So, in Deltarune Chapter 2, there is a store where you can buy teas that will restore HP in battle. The teas are flavored like the different characters Chris, Susie, Ralsei, and Noelle. Which character drinks which tea affects how many hit points they recover. I have a grid here that I copied from the Undertale wiki. On the left in the rows, we have the characters themselves, Chris on the top row, then Susie, Ralsei, and Noelle as characters. For the columns, we have the different T's. This would be Chris T, Susie T, Ralsei T, and Noelle T. And the values in each square represent the amount of hit points that each character recovers when they drink that respective tea. So in the mainstream understanding of what this tea means as far as the lore, the standard interpretation of tea theory is that the number represents how much the characters like each other. The higher the number, the more the character likes the character whose tea they're drinking. Under this interpretation, Susie really likes Chris, she really likes Ralsei, and she really likes Noelle. And of course, Noelle really likes Susie a lot. However, I would like to propose a different interpretation of the lore significance of the T and the T values. My proposal is that the T doesn't signify how much the characters like each other, it signifies how afraid, scared, or nervous they are around that character. So in this interpretation, Susie feels anxiety around her peers. These high values of recovering 120 hit points with Chris, Ralsei, and Noelle, it's not to say she doesn't like them, but it indicates that she feels very nervous around her peers. And this is a pretty common trait in kids that have grown up in really difficult childhoods. It's often speculated that Susie either is living in an abusive home or might not even have a home. And that kind of chronic stress can lead to just a heightened chronic baseline anxiety. Not to mention, she's always afraid of getting expelled and she thinks everyone hates her. And a lot of people actually do bully her, ironically, because, I mean, she's called a bully, but really a lot of people are also just making lies up about her and stuff, as we see from some of the dialogue by, I think it's in the Snow Kids family, this, what's his name? Snowdrake? But yeah, anyway, she has anxiety around her peers. Under this interpretation, we would see that Ralsei has a high level of anxiety with Chris and Susie and very, very low anxiety with Noelle. That would be because Chris and Susie, Ralsei believes them to be the heroes of prophecy. Ralsei has a lot riding on these two. Like, he is counting on them to fulfill very specific roles. And if they don't, it's literally the end of the world in his view, according to the prophecy. So while Noelle is a lightener, she just can't really carry as much weight as Chris and Susie do for Ralsei. And as much as he loves and adores them, one might say bordering on worship, it's still, it's a lot of stress. He has a lot riding on these two. We see how he's constantly trying to get Susie to play the part and act the role. He just is constantly feeling like he needs to kind of shepherd the situation into its proper destiny. We would also see in this theory that Chris feels anxiety around Susie. I mean, she did slam him against a locker, and she has threatened to eat his face and various things. Whereas he would be less anxious around Ralsei, and Chris and Noelle have a low but similar level of anxiety around each other. And I believe that this slightly heightened, like still low but slightly heightened number of 70 could reflect the tension in their two families. Like, they used to have an easier time together, probably, back when everyone hung out together. But whatever happened between the Dreamer and Holiday family has just created a sense of unease. And even in the Snowgrave route or the Weird route, we know that like Noelle and Chris's relationship is kind of up for question, where she's like, we've known each other forever, but I don't even really know if I would call us friends. So I think the 70 hit points restored for each of them can represent that sort of tension that they're carrying. Down at the very lower end, the way that Ralsei and Noelle feel about each other is just very little concern. For Ralsei, Noelle is a Lightner, but she's not his responsibility. And for Noelle, I was thinking about this when preparing for this video. When does she meet Ralsei exactly? Like, how much does she even know about him? Like, the dialogue when she drinks the Ralsei tea is like, there's nothing in here or something to that effect. She doesn't really know Ralsei very well. And she's a very sweet, kind person. She might not necessarily assume Fluffy Goat Boy means her any harm. So it's just, she's got very low anxiety with him. Now, to address the 400 HP that Noelle recovers from Susie, does she tell Susie directly? She has a line where she says that Susie is the good kind of scary. We know that Noelle likes scary things and that she's kind of into some kind of, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say kink on YouTube, but she does wonder at one point, what could I do to get Susie to slam me against the wall? So she does like that thrill of anxiety that she feels around Susie. She gets really flustered. She has like the butterflies in the stomach kind of new love crush feeling. So I feel that 400 fits this theory very well. Now to discuss how the characters feel about their own tea. Each of the characters, when they drink their own flavor of tea, will recover 10 hit points outside of battle or 40 points when they are inside battle. I believe that this would reflect how people are pretty neutral to themselves. You probably don't feel afraid of yourself, so I think the 10 makes sense. And feeling more anxiety around yourself, your performance, your vulnerability while you're in battle would kind of make sense to me. Although I was also considering this and looking these over, it might be possible that it's just for game mechanic reasons that, like, you don't want these items to be totally useless in battle, so making it at least 40 would make it worth keeping the tea in your inventory. Like, these might not have as much value as I'm assigning to them, but that could be one explanation, is that we might feel more self-conscious when our performance could mean life or death in such a literal way. But anyway, this is my take on tea theory, that the flavors of the tea could signify how much anxiety or fear the characters feel around each other. So thank you all for hearing my theory. I would love to hear what you think about it. If you have any counterpoints or if I missed anything, please let me know. Thanks for being part of this wonderful community. And remember that we are all with each other in the dark.